These were the last words of some of the Nazis convicted at Nuremberg on the night of October 16, 1946, in the gymnasium of Nuremberg prison. 10 of the main leaders of the Third Reich convicted in the main trial of the International Military Tribunal were executed by hanging. The following are some of the most interesting statements made before their executions. Wilhelm Keitel, Chief of the High Command of the Armed Forces and convicted on all 4 counts defined in the IMD Charter, said in a firm voice as he reached the scaffold, "I call on God Almighty to have mercy on the German people. More than 2 million German soldiers went to their death for the fatherland before me. I follow now my sons, all for Germany." Joachim von Ribbentrop, Reich Foreign Minister, also convicted on all 4 counts like Keitel, was the first to be executed. In a calm voice, he declared, "God protect Germany. God have mercy on my soul. My last wish is that German unity be maintained, that understanding between East and West will come about, and that there will be peace in the world." Arthur Seyss-Inquart, Reich Commissioner for the Occupied Territories of the Netherlands, and also convicted on all 4 counts, was the last to be executed. His last words, spoken softly but intensely, were, "I hope that this execution will be the last act in the tragedy of the Second World War, and that the lesson learned from this World War will be that peace and understanding must exist between peoples. I believe in Germany." Finally, Julius Streicher, Gauleiter of Franconia and editor of the anti-Semitic weekly Der Stürmer, was convicted only of conspiracy and crimes against humanity. However, he was at the same time the most defiant of all in his last words. He had to be pushed up the stairs, and as he stepped onto the platform, he shouted loudly, "Heil Hitler." He then looked at the witnesses and exclaimed, "Purim Fest 1946, an ironic reference to the Jewish holiday of Purim, in which, according to the Book of Esther, Haman and his 10 sons were hanged, alluding to the fact that the 10 Nazis executed that night were a Purim gift to the Jews. Why do snipers avoid the .50 BMG despite it being the most powerful? The real reason is very interesting. The .50 BMG was developed towards the end of the First World War by John Moses Browning, one of the most influential firearms designers in history, although it did not enter official service until 1921. It emerged in response to the need for a machine gun cartridge capable of bringing down aircraft, lightly armored vehicles, and fortified positions. In other words, it was originally conceived with an anti-tank and anti-aircraft role before evolving into a true multi-purpose round. During the Second World War, it was widely used in the M2 Browning heavy machine gun for anti-aircraft, aviation, and light vehicles, as it was capable of penetrating light armor. With hundreds of millions of cartridges manufactured during the conflict, today it remains one of the most iconic calibers in heavy machine guns such as the M2 Browning itself and in modern rifles, like the Barrett M82. But in the latter it is reserved almost exclusively for hard targets. Given all this, why do snipers largely steer clear of it in real-world operations? The reason is very simple. Most use smaller, more efficient calibers such as 7.62 by 51 mm, NATO, .300 Winchester, Magnum, or .338 Lapua Magnum. These offer superior precision, manageable recoil, significantly lower overall weapon and ammunition weight, and ample stopping power without compromising the mobility or stealth that are absolutely critical to a sniper's task. The very quality that makes the .50 BMG so remarkable, its immense power, becomes its greatest drawback when used against human targets: excessive overpenetration, collateral damage, extreme muzzle blast, and a heavy recoil impulse that makes rapid follow-up shots difficult. Consequently, in modern warfare, its employment has been reduced to hard targets only.